Hey everyone, welcome to Justified, Counting Crows. In this Crow compilation, we'll be looking at the Crow family and their involvement in the Justified series. The Crows are a family of redneck criminals. We first see a Kentucky Crow, Dewey Crowe, played by Damon Harriman, in the very first episode. He appears regularly throughout the series, usually with some poor, thought-out plan or criminal venture. His kin in Florida are another story completely, and we first see them in Season 5. While not too bright, they are truly dangerous, and when they show up in Kentucky because they hear about Dewey's court case settlement, things only get worse for luckless Dewey Crowe.
I never saw so much green. Man could get used to living like this.
How long you planning to stay, Cousin Daryl?
Cousin Dewey, if I didn't know better, I think you don't want me around here.
Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. First, we have to start at the beginning and get a good look at Dewey Crowe. Dewey is a low intelligence level, Kentucky backwoods white supremacist criminal. But man, he's funny. We looked forward to Dewey's appearances because he was always good for a laugh. His first appearance was in the pilot episode, Fire in the Hole, when Dewey meets Raylan Givens, played by Timothy Olyphant, for the first time. Dewey shows up at Ava Crowder's house, played by the lovely Joelle Carter, but instead he finds Givens, a deputy U.S. Marshal. Givens is originally from Kentucky. Okay, that's a long enough story, and you can find one of our videos dedicated to the Justified history and Raylan's story on our channel. Raylan orders him to leave the house and re-knock at the door, and if Ava wants to see him, he can stay. But instead, Dewey decides to pull a shotgun on Raylan, and, as always for Dewey, things don't go his way.
Jesus Christ, I got a scatter gun pointed right at you. Next time I see you, I'm gonna go.
Dewey pops up a few times again over the next several episodes, but we don't really get involved with him again until about episode 11. Dewey appears as a member of Boyd Crowder's church flock of criminals. And again, we could make an entire video just about Boyd Crowder. Oh wait, we did. Check it out on our channel. And on to Dewey's next adventure. He is hoping to make a drug score, but instead the bus he's riding on gets robbed. Now Dewey wants those drugs.
Is it Cutter robbed your oxy bus and you think I'm responsible?
I don't care that you robbed it, Boyd, but I need that money. These here are rock hard times for Dewey Crowe.
I had no hand in it.
So Dewey comes up with a great plan to steal the drugs back. He tries to buy a ski mask at a local hardware store. And remember, this is Kentucky, where it's 1,000,000 degrees.
But a second.
A ski mask?
That's right.
Son, this is Kentucky. What do you need a ski mask for?
Who are you, ski mask police?
But instead he captures a glimpse of a cowboy hat and thinks, hey, I know what, I'll disguise myself as Raylan Givens.
Federal Marshal, your head! I will put a hole through you if you make me. Hell, I can. I'm Federal Marshal Raylan Givens. Don't nobody mess with me around these parts.
And once again, his little plan fails badly and he's trotted back off to prison. In Season 3, Dewey does have a larger role, but he still has no luck. He gets kidnapped quite by accident and wakes up with 2 stapled incisions. He's told he has to find $20,000 to buy back his kidneys. Dewey, being Dewey, tries robbing an appliance store and then a strip club. I mean, come on, Dewey, for 20 grand? In the end, Raylan has to explain to Dewey that he likely still has his 2 kidneys, which leads to this great comment.
You mean I had 4 kidneys?
Word of Dewey's newfound wealth travels all the way to Florida, where we meet the Florida Crows. I think proper introductions are in order here. First, we have Daryl Crowe Jr., played by Michael Rappaport. He is the ex-con oldest brother, and he's taken care of the family since their daddy died. Next up is brother Danny Crowe, played by A.J. Buckley. He's a violent hothead. And then Wendy Crowe, a sister, played by Alicia Witt, and the only smart one of the bunch. She works as a paralegal in an office in Miami.
I'm pretty well.
What are you, his girlfriend?
Sister.
The youngest brother is Dilly Crowe, played by Jason Gray Stanford. Dilly's a screw-up and as dumb as his cousin Dewey. Finally, we have another younger brother, I'll explain later, Kendall Crowe, played by Jacob Laughlin. The Florida Crows have a little venture going on where they're selling sugar, yep, sugar, to the Coast Guard, who undercuts it to candy companies. When Dewey's cousin Dilly shoots a corrupt member of the Coast Guard and dumps the body, the missing Coast Guard brings a federal case to the family, and Daryl has Danny stab Dilly. Ah, brotherly love. It's too bad we didn't get to see more of Dilly. Would love to have seen some of his interactions between Dilly and Dewey. And Daryl doesn't even get taken to task for this. A bit of a hole in the whole Florida Crow season, that's for sure.
I'm sorry.
In season 5, Dewey sues the Marshal Service for Raylan's harassment of him, and he actually wins $300,000.
And isn't it true that my client was later drugged again and made to believe that his kidneys had been removed?
You might want to note for the record he thought he had 4 kidneys.
Your Honor, would you please direct the witness?
Yes.
And a few days later, you hit him in the nose with the butt of a shotgun.
Mr. Crowe, settlement offer of $20,000 has already been made. The U.S. Attorney has modified it to $300,000. You accept that offer?
No, I do not. After what I've been through, my kidneys and everything, you telling me all I get is $300?
$300,000, you nitwit.
So it seems Dewey's luck might finally be changing. Dewey invests the money by buying Audrey's, a whorehouse and bar, from Boyd Crowder. He also buys a pistol with his name engraved in the handle, and a huge above-ground swimming pool.
He offered to sell you Audrey's?
I don't remember whose idea it was.
How about this gun in your pocket? Whose idea was that?
I never seen that. That ain't even loaded.
Nickel-plated, engraved. I believe that says Dewey.
It's a common name. I don't know shit about no dead Coast Guard.
What about your kin?
I don't know about that either, and I don't want to know. Them Florida Crows are bad news.
Relax. I believe you.
At this point, Daryl begins to feel he's at loose ends, like there's nothing left in Florida for the Crows. And when he hears that Dewey came into $300,000, he decides to move the family to Kentucky and take advantage of this opportunity.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a cousin Dewey in Kentucky?
You'll see throughout season 5 that Daryl's an opportunist, a bit of a leech, if you will, always ready to leap into someone else's plan rather than coming up with something himself.
I told him, he couldn't just go and take stuff for free, but he said he's your kin.
There he is. Big time.
Daryl.
You got yourself a nice setup in here. Yeah, boy. It's good to see you, Cousin Dewey. Real good to see you, family.
Right from the start, Daryl is involving himself in Dewey's business. He tells Dewey that he paid way too much for Audrey's and that Boyd ripped him off.
How much you pay him?
$250.
$250,000? God damn, Dewey, you got ripped off. So why don't you go and talk to Boyd and tell him that your real estate consultant has determined that you overpaid.
So Dewey confronts Boyd, but Boyd pretty much ignores him and tells him to stand up for himself to Daryl.
You ripped me off. I did what now? My cousin's here from Florida.
Well, that's a good thing. Family can be the perfect salve in difficult times.
You don't understand. Cousin Daryl is difficult times.
Now, sometimes being a man means you gotta know when to put your foot down. Well, put your foot down, Dewey Crow!
When Dewey returns to Audrey's to stand up to Daryl, Wade Messer is there, beat to hell by Daryl for skimming, and Daryl orders Dewey to kill him.
I've been skimming, Dewey.
You're gonna kill him?
No, Dewey. He ain't steal from me. You are.
Messer eventually dies and is found by the Marshal Service. But this gives Daryl the power now as he blackmails Dewey and takes over Audrey's.
Holy shit.
Just remember which one of us pulled that trigger on Messer. That was all you, boy.
Daryl Crowe first meets Boyd in Boyd's bar, but he doesn't know just who he's talking to.
This Boyd Crowder's place, isn't it?
What's this Crowder going to do?
Well, an unpredictable man can be unpredictable. Now, you got 60 seconds to say what it is you've been waiting to say. I've been accused of being a lot of things. Inarticulate ain't one of them.
The Crows then get messed up with Boyd Crowder, and Boyd hires them as basically thugs.
Over like he did to me.
Shut up, Dewey, and sit down.
As I was saying.
What's the job?
You gonna take on 1-on-6?
One lesson you could never understand is why make an enemy when you can make a friend. Now I want you to meet my new friend, Daryl Crowe Jr.
They are also mixed up with Boyd looking for Johnny and then is off to Mexico on a heroin adventure.
I got another job I need done.
I assume this next job ain't gonna be as fun as whooping on a bunch of skinheads, am I right?
Well, that depends on your definition of fun, Daryl Crowe Jr.
In Mexico, things don't go so well. Danny ends up starting a shootout, and this after they promised the cartel boss there would be no killings in Mexico. Things are smoothed over eventually, but on the way back to Kentucky, they're pulled over by a DEA agent. While Danny is out of the tow truck talking to the agent, Dewey has another one of his brilliant ideas. He steals the drugs and takes off on his own. Nope, there won't be any consequences for that one, Dewey. The hapless Dewey then tries to get money from Boyd in exchange for the heroin, but, surprise, first he runs out of gas, gets shot at by an old lady, inadvertently confesses to Messer's murder, not knowing the marshals are listening, and gets arrested. All in a Dewey day.
I will shoot the way I shot Wade Messer. I killed his ass good, man. 2 shots. Me, Dewey Crow.
God damn it.
Shit, Dewey.
Open it.
Kendall Crow's in some hot water as well, though. Earlier in the season, Daryl Crowe shoots Art Mullins, not realizing he was a U.S. Marshal. Mullins is Raylan's boss and one of the few people Raylan really cares about. Art ends up in critical condition in the hospital. They're not sure if he's even going to make it. Raylan tries to pin the murder on Daryl, but Daryl gets Kendall to confess, knowing he'll just end up in juvie for a few years. Remember that Kendall is only 14. Oh, and there's also the fact that Wendy is actually Kendall's mom, making Daryl Kendall's uncle, not his brother. Very confusing. We then see Kendall in a holding cell, and Raylan tells him he's going to be tried as an adult and could do 40 years for shooting U.S. Marshal. But Kendall sticks to his story. Raylan also tells Wendy, Kendall's mom, that he will be tried as an adult and sentenced to decades in prison. So Wendy agrees to try and get Daryl to confess to save her son.
You wear wire. You get Daryl talking.
He's gonna smell it on me.
We hear anything, we go in.
I will be dead by the time the door opens. Do you understand me? A wire is not an option.
Well, then you got a problem, don't you?
I didn't have no idea to shoot the man. It just happened.
I trusted Kendall with you, you son of a bitch.
What did I miss?
Hey, man, she got a gun.
Didn't I tell you you were gonna wish I killed you?
So that's 3 crows down, if you're counting crows, leaving just Wendy and Kendall, and it's the last we see of the Florida Crows in this series. Well, we've arrived at the final season of Justified, Season 6. Dewey gets out of prison and heads over to see Boyd Crowder. You see, while Dewey was in prison, his brothel was seized, his girls have gone legit, and he's feeling at loose ends, sort of nostalgic. He asks Boyd to let him back in. It just so happens at this time that Boyd is planning another bank robbery, and it turns out he does have a job for Dewey.
I just want back in, Boyd. I just want you to trust me again.
You want back in? I got a job that needs doing.
Anything you say, Boyd. Anything.
Dewey's over the top happy to be back in the fold, not knowing he's been set up as a decoy. Now, Dewey didn't know he was just a decoy, and boy, is he pissed.
Where is it?
Where's what?
I don't know, but whatever it is, it ain't here.
Which bank did you say you saw Boyd at?
First River.
Set me up.
How you figure that?
The Stadies and the feds were waiting for me. They knew I was coming for. They even saw me.
You said you wanted back in, so I gave you a job.
You told me what was in that bag was important.
I told you that the job was important.
Well, carrying your underpants?
Well, it hadn't have been underpants. Your sore ass would be sitting in jail right now.
He laments how he wishes things could just go back the way they were back in Crowder's Commandos.
When we was Crowder's Commandos.
You man devil.
But Boyd kills this poor, stupid man who had just called him a friend a few minutes earlier. Dewey was a lot of things, but being stupid is not enough of a reason for killing man.
But they also saw a future.
And now the crow count stands at 4, if you're counting crows. Wendy's taken Kendall and gone back to Florida, leaving no crows in Kentucky. Were all those deaths necessary? Certainly not Dewey's, and likely not Dilly's. Daryl and Danny were rotten enough for their deaths to be justified. Thankfully, Wendy and Kendall made it out. Thanks for watching our video. Please click that thumbs up button if you liked the video, and leave us a comment if you didn't. And be sure to subscribe to our channel to be notified when we make more Justified and other series videos.